The year is 1984, the home computer market has been filled to the brim with micros, and you need a machine for your business. What do you choose? What do you choose? Well, have you considered the Commodore Plus 4? My name is Jess B. This is my tech department. Los Gate. Introduced in 1984, the Plus 4 was one of a trio of machines squarely aimed at the lower end of the market, with the Plus 4 aimed specifically at the business market. It got its name from including BASIC plus 3 other packages, a word processor, spreadsheet and database, all contained on ROM in the machine. A plethora of screw-ups by Commodore meant that this machine had a shelf life of approximately 1 year and was constantly on sale almost from the moment it hit the shelves. From weird joystick ports to incompatibilities with existing C64 and VC20 peripherals, this Plus 4 and the C16 family in general was a massive screw-up. Even if you wanted to use the built-in software, you had to go out and purchase a 1541 disk drive to save your work. Ludicrous. Even gamers were disappointed, because although the Plus 4 offered 64KB of memory, the C16 and the C116 did not, and since they were all compatible, all games and software were more or less made for the C16's 16K of memory, which meant you had performance left on the table with the Plus 4. Now, taking a look at our machine, it's had a hard life. It's very dirty, and I bought it knowing the keyboard wasn't working properly. However, it does power up, and given that it has its own integrated chip known as the TED chip that's quite rare, having it power up and work is a big bonus. So let's take a look and see if we can work out what's wrong with the keyboard. So here we are at the cursor, and I'm just going to type in some random letters, and yeah, some keys are sticky, some are not working at all, and in general, yeah, it's a bit of a pain. While we're here, we may as well check out the 3+1 software and load up the word processor. It's done by hitting F1 and just enter, and it'll load up. And ooh, that is basic. Oh yeah, you can see that this was going to prove not popular with business owners, I can see. It was said actually that the database software didn't live up to its name and the spreadsheet couldn't spread for anything. It was really, really badly reviewed. However, let's get into the case. Now, to get into the machine is fairly simple. We just have to undo 5 screws on the back. And you can see from the top of it actually, this machine, although it doesn't look that dirty, I can assure you in real life it is. And it will require a nice cleaning. But given the machine's 40 years old near enough, I think that's fair. With the machine flipped over, we can undo the 2 screws on the bottom of the case and a further 3 on the top. And then it's just a simple matter of flipping it back over and gently lifting the cover off. Because of course, there's a keyboard attached with a ribbon cable and we don't want to do any damage. Grasping the cable firmly but gently, it's easy to just pull away from the connector and voila, there you have it, the internals of the Plus 4, and already I can see a few issues. At this point it's very clear that the case has accrued some dust and detritus, and to be honest with you, it's not really looking in the best of conditions on the main board. There is some weird white film on some of the capacitors, and yeah, I think this is going to take a little bit of cleaning, to be honest. Turning to the edge connector, things are grimy. That is very, very pitted, and I have no idea what looks like is going on with that voltage regulator. To get the board out, we just undo 6 screws and the board should just lift away nicely. With the board free, let's have a look at those capacitors. We may have to wait a minute for the autofocus to catch up, but I'm sure it will. But I'm really kind of concerned that I've never seen that with ceramic capacitors before. They are very white. Turning to the edge connector, yeah, that is very pitted, but hopefully it'll clean up alright. But there is a lot of grime and mess on this board. I think I'm going to have my isopropyl alcohol and Q-tips working overtime. On the back, however, things do look a little better, if not a bit fuzzy. Sorry. The edge connector on the other side, however, is much cleaner and in focus, which is a bonus. Let's instead turn to the keyboard, and our ribbon cable is my first protocol, and actually it looks okay. So let's get the keyboard out of the top case and inspect further. With the keyboard out, you can really see how dirty this machine has gotten over the years. There's dust and fluff and goodness knows what else everywhere. Looking at the cursor key, the one that's broken, yeah, actually you can see it's just fully depressed. Yeah, we'll have to strip it down and see what's causing that, but I have an idea. First job though, we have to get these keycaps off, and honestly, you need to be careful with these. Now, as I started taking them apart, most of them came out okay. There are little springs you're going to have to collect as you go along as well. But in the process of taking them off, I broke at least 3 keys. Now, one of them seemed to have been on its last legs and was probably broken anyway, but both the S key and the Shift key also broke off fairly easily. Replacements will have to be found, and I'm happy to say they have been. It's recommended that you use a little heat on this keyboard just to warm up the plastic a little bit, because after 40 years those keys are a little stubborn to come out. Now, it wouldn't be a tech department video without a cleaning montage, so here we go. It's time to get the plastics in some warm soapy water and give them a good clean. Both the case and the keys are getting some individual attention, and hopefully they'll come up looking as good as new. At least for the keys that are not broken. I mean, they look new, they're just, we can't use them. As the cleaning continued, I noticed on the case at least a lot of little light scratches and not so light scratches, and the case is also missing 2 little plastic feet, or 2 little rubber feet actually. So I'll have to find those, which shouldn't be too difficult hopefully. But as for the scratches, I've got an idea. Maybe I'll try the little technique I tried with the Mega Drive 2 and use some very fine grit wet and dry just to see if it'll polish out. If not, then we're just going to have to live with it. In the meantime, as things get soaked, cleaned and tidied up, I'm going to leave you with a little music and some cleaning montage. Hi, sorry to interrupt. I can't help but notice that many of you are not subscribed. please consider subscribing. It would really help us out, and it's so easy to do. I mean, there's probably a button right down there right now, maybe. Just click it and you will be subscribed to the channel. Oh, and do hit that notification bell as well, so you're notified every time I do something stupid like this. Anyway, back to your video. Cheers. Back to our montage, and now it's time to tackle the keyboard itself. Now, I've discovered in taking this apart that the keyboard works with carbon touchpads, and that's probably what's causing our issues with intermittent contact. So I've got some IPA out, and I'm making sure I clean every individual contact on the keyboard so that hopefully I can get rid of any old traces of carbon. As for the carbon pads themselves, well, I'll deal with that in a minute. In the meantime, I'm going to spend quite a while getting in all the nooks and crannies of this keyboard faceplate, and hopefully it'll come up looking a lot better than it was, because ew. With the keyboard faceplate cleaned off, I now need to take away the PCB, as you can see, so we can clean it in the panel above. And here's where I made a monumental mistake. Can you guess what it is? I'll give you a clue. Once all the screws come out, the little key pushers, they move. They move quite quickly. Fortunately, I managed to catch all of them, gather them up and put them in a tub, but they went everywhere. Well done, Jess. Idiot. One final thing to note is that the shift lock key is actually soldered to the PCB, so you'll have to desolder it before you can actually take it away. It's fairly simple, but I'm not really looking forward to getting that back in. Right, next up, let's check that there's continuity on the pins to the keyboard PCB on our ribbon cable. And as it happens, it actually does have some. Every pin seems absolutely fine, so I'm not too worried about this ribbon cable. It's not as weak as the ones found, for example, on the ZX Spectrum, so I'm quite happy to put this back in the machine and know that it's working. And now one final job for the day is to clean off the carbon pads. Now to do this, I'm just getting a little bit of paper and I'm using the stem of a cotton bud to push down in the pusher so that I can get the center of the pad out. And then I'm just moving it slightly on this piece of paper, and that should remove a tiny bit of the top carbon, exposing some good carbon for our keys to use, and yet not ruining the switch. I hope. I guess we'll find out. Well, that about wraps things up for now. Next time you see this machine, I'll be recapping it, reassembling it, and hopefully we'll be rediscovering what the Commodore Plus 4 can really do. In the meantime, I really hope you enjoyed this video. If you would like to help out the channel, we do have a Patreon account. Consider popping along and checking it out if you like. If you don't want to do that, you can always just give us a thumbs up, which is always greatly appreciated. It helps out small channels like this so much. So, all that's left to say is, thanks for watching, take care, und bis später.